just
night, it's
finishing setting
calm
up a
for
few things,
now,
and
but
I'll be
don't
live in
be
a couple of
fooled.
minutes.
It's just the vow of storms to come. They'll hit again. It's not over till the very soul. Rising tide, feel the power in the air. Hurricane, pulling everything, beware. Raging winds, tearing through the night. Hold on tight, we're caught in the eye. The search fades away, but there's more on the way. Stay strong, hold tight. The storm returns tonight. Tonight. Oklahoma plains spread so fast, chasing dreams on these blacktop roads. Heartbeats race with the thunder's tones. Roundhouse cars speed fast, twister dance in that sky so vast. Danger close, but courage grows. Eyes on the storm where the wild wind blows. Chasing stars, never stop. Up underneath that sky up top. Electric air, hearts on fire. Living in the storm's desire. Chasing stars, never stop. Underneath that sky up top. Electric air, hearts on fire. Living in the storm's desire.
And hello, everybody. Let me know how my audio is, and I'll try to fix it. Um, but yeah, so we're gonna go over kind of a live forecast of Hurricane Milton, which is gonna be a major hurricane that strikes the west coast of Florida and travels throughout Florida. The entire peninsula of Florida will be seeing some sort of tropical storm on up to hurricane effect. So I wanted to start with this satellite loop, so we can just kind of see where it's at, what it's done today, and go from there. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It helps the channel grow. I'd appreciate it. But yeah, this is Hurricane Milton as of 6:30, so 20 minutes ago. Let me get a little bit of a loop on here, and we'll go show you how it's been progressing throughout the last about 3 hours. So you can kind of see it's more clear on infrared what's going on here. But right here, um you'll see the eye, and it's kind of constricting or going inward. And you'll see some colors start to pop up here and there. That's clouds forming in the eye wall and some buds, but mainly clouds and precip. And what it's doing is it's going through an eye wall replacement cycle. And what that does is it will often have signs of changing intensities, which this is already a Category 5 hurricane. So it can get more intense, but it's not going, there's no Category 6. So really what we are watching for this one is a broadening wind field. Um, you may notice as I zoom out here, it's quite small compared to Hurricane Helene we had a week and a half ago. Um, so it won't be quite as broad, so it won't have the breadth of Helene, but we do expect this to pack quite a significant punch. However, I did say it's a Category 5 hurricane now, but there's some issues over here that will cause the hurricane to probably decrease in strength. Um, we'll go over that, but really, it's the chill in the atmosphere. We expect it to modify the hurricane and weaken its overall intensity, but breadthen the scope of the hurricane. And unfortunately, what that can do is it can increase the storm surge, which is really one of my major concerns with this. Tampa, you're going to see major storm surge. Um, so one of the threats to be watching out for with this, let me go ahead and switch over to the National Hurricane Center page, and we'll just go over some of the threats there. So sorry, I'm fighting allergies here. Um, Damaging hurricane force winds and life-threatening storm with destructive waves are expected across the northern Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico tonight. And then it will grow in size and will remain an extremely dangerous hurricane as we move to Wednesday and overnight on Thursday. We are expecting a midnight-ish landfall of this hurricane as a Category 3 hurricane right now. But that's definitely subject to change. This thing strengthening quite impressively earlier today, all throughout the day today. Um, and then potentially devastating hurricane force winds along West Coast, East Coast, Florida Peninsula. Areas of heavy rainfall are definitely possible with this. Um, so let's go ahead and take a look at this forecast cone. Again, you can see it here near the Yucatan Peninsula. It's just going to either barely make landfall or just go to the north and avoid landfall. But then we're going to take this northward jaunt into around Tampa Bay is where we're forecasting the landfall here. The landfall is going to be very crucial to what we see after this, um, in terms of what the effect of the weather will be. Um, we'll go over that a little bit later, but just wanted to show you this cone again. 1 a.m. Thursday, and then by 1 p.m. Thursday, it should be off the coast, and the effect's starting to wind down with this. Yeah, here's kind of a new graphic they're playing with. Just kind of shows you where the hurricane warning is in effect for. So much of central Florida, and then a hurricane watch on the east coast of Florida. As far as what we can expect for rainfall, not quite as much as Helene, but we are expecting between 4 and 12 inches of rainfall throughout most of Florida, south of Tallahassee on up to Savannah, Georgia. Really, all the effects of this hurricane we are expecting to be contained to Florida before it pushes off to sea. Flooding potential, again, Tampa Bay, Orlando, Jacksonville. You're all in a moderate risk for flooding, and as well as Miami down to Key West. You're in a moderate risk for flooding and slight risk of flooding pretty much elsewhere in the cone or the path of the hurricane. Um, so here's kind of a more detailed forecast. Let me get some of these dots out of your way. There we go. So the background color in the ocean is sea surface temperatures. So you can see orange and reds, lots of them. That just means very warm water. So the water is pretty warm enough for the storm to strengthen and have plenty of fuel to work with. The real issue we are concerned with in terms of forecasting, in terms of this hurricane growing, is how much will the shear affect it. And that's kind of limiting the forecast right now. But as you can see, it's expected to remain a Category 5 until late Tuesday, maybe early Wednesday. And then as we move into Wednesday afternoon, that's when we should start to see the weakening effect of the shear in the atmosphere on this hurricane. Now, that may not play out exactly how we think. So it may not weaken. We may have some Category 5 accident in Florida. Some of the models are starting to trend upward with a Category 5, Category 4 hurricane, but right now that's the higher end models, the more bullish models on this hurricane. The vast majority say Category 3 ish is about where it will be at when it makes landfall. So, um, winds we're expecting 120 to 135 miles per hour in terms of wind, and then it will quickly, once it moves on land, it will quickly weaken and then move off into the ocean where it will just continue on. There is another tropical disturbance here that we aren't concerned about because it's just going to go off to the ocean. Again, let me pull up this satellite view and just kind of get a picture of what's going on here. So you can see the hurricane right here next to Yucatan Peninsula may just graze the land here and really not weaken a whole lot and move off towards Tampa Bay. Let me get some of this clutter out of here because I do want to go over the exact landing of where we think this hurricane will be, because this is very crucial, especially for Tampa Bay and Punta Gorda. These are two bay inlets into Florida that can line up with the storm just right. Um, Kind of funnel the water and storm surge and make it more severe as you move into those city areas there. Um, uh, Again, Fort Myers, you are in the Cone Cape Coral. You may remember last year Hurricane Ian still dealing with the effects down there, so um, definitely a scary time for these folks. But I would be taking your hurricane evacuation seriously at this point. I've heard I-75 is very congested, but you can see right now the eye is forecasted to pass right over Tampa, St. Petersburg. If it does do that, the wind as a cyclonic motion, as you can see my mouse moving around, will kind of push the brunt of the waves out of the direction of the inlet, so the storm surge won't be quite as high, but definitely still significant. Um, but if this tracks a little bit more northerly and you get that cyclonic motion, you can see as I'm moving my mouse, it can kind of feed up into this inlet and just kind of make a wall of water kind of pushing through that inlet and kind of increase the storm surge. So I want to go back to the surge graphic from the National Hurricane Center. um, Right now, you can see Tampa Bay is forecasted to see 10 to 15. Solid Harbor 6 to 10 foot. Encolate River 5 to 10 feet. I think these are kind of low right now. I would be prepared for up to 20-foot storm surges. Um, that's just if the track does take the more northerly route, we can see that funneling go on. But again, major storm surge for Florida. Um, Here's kind of a list of it diagrammed out. Again, I think these totals may be a little low around Tampa. But yeah. Encolate River to Inglewood, 10 to 15 feet. Tampa Bay, 10 to 15. Inglewood to Bonita Beach, 6 to 10 foot. Solid Harbor, 6 to 10 foot. Yankton to Encolate, 5 to 10 foot. So again, very high storm surge is likely with this. Especially if the shear does make the wind field broaden on this, which is kind of anticipation right now. I'll take y'all to the College of DuPage's website. I forgot to refresh this, so let me do that real quick. Um, simulate reflectivity, and there we go. How far does this model? Okay, plenty of time. So you can kind of see the hurricane down here, um, right above the Yucatan Peninsula, and then it pushes off, kind of staying south, and then it just makes this northerly turn just into Tampa Bay, maybe slightly north according to this model. But you may notice that it's very, very confined to Florida. So Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee. I know y'all are kind of on guard with all the cleanup that's going on now from the catastrophic damage there, but all this should stay well south of y'all, so that's great news for y'all. Um, you can kind of see as we head into Wednesday, the hurricane just kind of broadens as it reaches that area of increased seal, and that's just kind of going to rip the hurricane throttle and make the wind field higher and make it able to pick up more ocean water and make higher waves, and that will lead to the storm surge. Um, the good news with that is it will bring the wind speeds down a little bit, most likely. So again, it's a category 5 right now. We are expecting probably a category 3, low end category 4 at landfall at this moment, but it can definitely go higher. So you can see it moving off to the ocean here. As I pull up this next graphic, just kind of height wind field of the atmosphere. Make sure you give the stream a like, subscribe. It helps the channel grow. I'm a degree meteorologist, so I do like to think I know what I'm talking about. So, again, you can see Hurricane Milton right down here, and as it moves out, boom, you can see the kind of wind fields broaden. It gets higher in the atmosphere. So right here is kind of the driving force, Mexico, Texas, New Mexico. You can see kind of this ridge or this upward bend in the atmosphere. That's a high pressure. So the high pressure is going to kind of steer this storm and push it to the east. That's kind of why this storm isn't moving to the west, as most hurricanes do. Thank you, Carolyn. Um, Another interesting interaction we have up here is this trough, which is basically a low pressure in the atmosphere. That's what we look at in severe storms season for potential severe weather. But obviously here, it's a little bit of a different dynamic with a hurricane. So you can see that trough kind of stays to the north, and but what it does do is it prevents this hurricane from moving north and kind of protects again the regions that were hit by Hurricane Helene, and then it quickly serves off after that. So let's see, what else do I want to show? Do I have a good shield product on this model page? I'm working on my own set of model graphics so that I can go into more details on the products I want to show, but that's just not ready yet. Um, want to make sure everything looks good before rolling it out. $500 standard U anomalies. Never much to show there. Um, 0 to 3 SR8. Okay. So, and I'll also show book sale. So basically, this is the atmosphere's winds moving different directions. Basically, SRH is really more used for tornado prediction, but it is kind of useful here. You can kind of see off the coast of Florida the higher pinks into blues and greens, and this is kind of what we're thinking is going to broaden the winds field, but bring down the overall winds. Um, Now I'll move over to this product. Again, you can kind of see on this one, the greens, yellows. Again, that's what is hopefully going to break this up. Again, not quite a strong output on this model. This model generally isn't used for forecasting hurricanes, but it does a decent enough job to get a basic picture. There's a couple other models that aren't available on this College of DuPage's website called the H-Wolf, which is a hurricane model specific model. Um, that's one of the models I'm trying to get graphed first. Cocoa Beach. Yeah, I think I've been there before on vacation. Let me just make sure I know exactly what I'm talking about, though. Okay, Cocoa Beach, side of Orlando. Yeah. So talking about in this area, yeah. So Category 3, it will quickly weaken as it moves across Florida. So maybe Category 1 wind speeds around that time, maybe Category 2. I'd lean towards it weakening faster with a Category 1 wind speed. Definitely still in a hurricane watch, if you can see this pink line down here. As far as storm surge, 2 to 4 foot maybe extends down that way. But good news is y'all will probably be on the southern side of the storm, so the water is gonna be moving more away from y'all than towards y'all. May get some on the backside, but again, the storm's kind of weakening at that point, so the storm surge will be coming down at that point. As far as arrival time, this is the earliest reasonable arrival time of tropical storm force winds. So we're talking about Wednesday midday. So that's about the time frame. But reasonable is Wednesday night into Thursday morning. Yeah, and then I'll go ahead and show this cone again. This blue line is kind of the best path, but again, anywhere in this cone is a reasonable area. Um, my gut says this will likely drift a little bit northward, but that's not substantiated in any other product quite yet. Um, if I move back to the model data, you can kind of see this high ridge here um, as it approaching Florida. It's not very strong, so it's kind of weak steering force. Um, and then this trough is kind of hanging out to the north here a little bit further. So I think if the wind field broadens, it'll likely be able to drift a little bit more northward. The natural inclination is it's going to try to stay more south with the eastward movement. So that would be good, but you can kind of see a high ridge down here as well that may try to push this a little bit northward. Um, let's see if I can get a better view of that. Atlantic Ocean. So yeah, there's a hurricane. Here's kind of out in the middle of nowhere, Atlantic. So kind of a weak ridge here too. Um, so no strong driving force really with this hurricane. It is moving at a decent speed though. Um, that's likely due to this high ridge here and this low pressure here just kind of kicking it up. Good news is right now after this one, there's no strong indications of a hurricane anytime until 10-ish days out forming, and 10 days out in the model is a long time to forecast. So hopefully after this one, it's one hurrah, and then we have a couple weeks break before we have to worry about the next one. Unfortunately, I do think that the um, conditions for future hurricane developments is still favorable as we move throughout November. So November, early December, I still think it's reasonable that we may see hurricanes during that time frame. No, it's kind of getting to the later ends of hurricane season, but that this is really when I thought the peak of hurricane season would be in October, November, December, and unfortunately that's playing out. Hopefully this is the last straw though. Let's see. These allergies are gonna be the death of me. Um, let's see. I'm kind of new to this product right here, so um, not entirely familiar with everything going on here. So if this data loads in, I like this view a little bit more. Um, if it loads in here. My plan is to go till about 7:45 today. Just figured I'd hop on a live and actually pull over the data. And then I'll probably have a video out later tonight or late tomorrow morning. Again, detailing the latest threats. So that's kind of where I'm at on that. Let me go ahead and check Twitter for any possible data. Hurricane Milton reached 898 pascals, so it's one of the few hurricanes that have reached the 800 pressure levels club this century. So one of the more impressive hurricanes that we've seen in terms of strengthening rapidly and how deep the pressure is. Um, Seeing 180-mile-per-hour winds was the latest reconnaissance data, so definitely getting up there in wind speeds. See if there's anything else. Again, heed your local evacuation notices. I wouldn't play around with this hurricane. Again, I think especially on coastal areas, I think we'll see strong storm surges on the west coast of Florida. East coast, not so much, but again, it is possible. That we do break some of these surge numbers that the National Hurricane Center has put out. Thanks, Kevin. Yeah, kind of a news channel. Did some severe weather coverage this spring, and just kind of getting back into hurricane coverage. Don't have too much experience in hurricane knowledge, but actual forecasting. But again, I did go to school for this, so definitely spent a semester covering this. So again, basically what I do is I synthesize what the experts are saying at the National Hurricane Center, and then my own opinions on the forecast, and kind of derive from there. As most meteorologists should do, because the National Hurricane Center is for some of the smartest people in meteorology. Um, yeah, like I said, this is one impressive storm. I'm not sure what the pressure record is, but the strongest wind speeds recorded in the Atlantic, I think I saw, was 190 miles per hour. So we could get close to breaking a record tomorrow. Let me go back to this page and see if they forecast that. Um, yeah, gust to 170. 190. So they are predicting gusts to 195. So by this time tomorrow, we could have a new record for highest recorded wind speed for an Atlantic hurricane. Definitely gonna be paying attention to that. See if we break it. Pressure, I'm not sure what the lowest pressure we've seen in a hurricane, but I'm pretty sure it's way down now. Um, Again, checking Twitter for anything new that I may not have seen. Um, Looks like Hurricane Wilma in 2005 got down to 882 millibars. Um, may have had lower ones. 895 Hurricane Rita is the strongest, I think. Lowest pressure we've seen, so it could make a run at that as well. This product doesn't show pressure levels on it. Um, okay, let's go back to the model data here. What model did I want? NAM's a horrible model for hurricane forecast. Just some of the parameterization they do brings it down. Um, Let me go back here. Okay, cool. Um, so yeah, here's kind of the simulated reflectivity from the GFS model. You can see Tampa's right in there. This model again has it drifting a little bit northward. This model is what, a couple of hours old at this point, I believe. No, it's 12 hours old. Or six, yeah, sorry, 6 hours old. So it's a little bit old, but you can see it moving on the north sides. Nice GFS has it tracking basically right over Tampa. So again, as far as Tampa is concerned, the further south this goes, the better. And that's because of the Bay Inlet here. Tampa Bay is one of the most hurricane susceptible cities in the U.S. when it comes to storm surge. It's kind of a big concern, prompting all of the hype around this from the weather community. But definitely it's going to impact all of Florida. So just trying to be on the lookout for the worst case scenarios. That way you're prepped for it. And hopefully this thing gets sealed apart and becomes like a Category 2, Category 1. But I doubt that. It's probably going to be that high in Category 3, low in Category 4 when it makes a landfall in Florida. So here's kind of the percent likelihood that you will see a tropical storm force winds with this. So you can see basically all of Florida is expected with a greater than 40% chance to see tropical storm winds. Now, um, obviously some of this is just will still 48, 52 hours away from landfall. So we do have some time before it makes landfall, so these percentages will go up. 50 knot winds, continue, so 58 miles per hour. Again, most of Florida's in that greater than 30 to 40% chance. And then the hurricane probability winds, definitely Tampa Bay area down to Camp Coral, I believe. Um, Definitely expecting to see hurricane force winds. And I do expect this to show more Florida tomorrow. Again, let's switch back to the radar and just kind of show it out. Lost my screen here. So here's Hurricane Milton just doing its thing right now. Let's see, does that have a better view of it right now? Nope. Just trying to find a good view of this. Okay. So you can see a very well tight eye defined in this storm right now. Um, Observation was taken at 7:10. So right now, kind of a little bit oblong circle. As it's threatening to make landfall on the Yucatan here. Yucatan's kind of hard to see here. Here's kind of the Yucatan Peninsula though, kind of the northern edge of it. So as I loop this, you can see it's trying to make a southward jaunt and hit the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico though. So Yucatan's seeing Category 5 hurricane storm here, and definitely dealing with some storm surge along the northern edge of the Yucatan Peninsula. Probably pretty strong storm surge at that. In terms of the hurricane itself, not seeing that eye wall replacement undergo quite yet. Um, let's see. Yeah, not seeing the eye wall replacement yet. We'll see if it does it overnight tomorrow morning. And really, when I say eye wall replacement, what I'm looking to see is how this storm's going to evolve. Oftentimes an eye wall replacement changes the intensity and shape of the hurricane. Um, in this case, particularly looking at the breadth of the hurricane, really not too concerned with the intensity on this one. As we saw right now, it's in a low shear environment, so plenty of juice for the storm to work with, and it's not going to get ripped apart with the sea surface temperatures are shear. So definitely am expecting this to continue on. I do have some precipitation going on in certain parts of Florida now. That's kind of why there's a moderate risk of flooding with this hurricane because the soil will already be wet now. So again, kind of expecting this kind of motion on it. Um, and when it decides to take that northern kick, it's going to matter is it on this side here or this side. And that's kind of just going to change where we expect the storm surge to occur. And where the most severe portion of it will be. Um, so yeah, definitely watching that closely. Obviously, we're losing visual satellite now since it's nighttime, so we can't really see it besides on infrared and some of the shortwave visibilities. Um, so here's a bulletin the National Hurricane Center put out at 4 p.m. today. Um, 8 miles west northwest of Progreso, Mexico, and 675 miles southwest of Tampa, Florida. Maximum winds of 180 miles per hour. Present movement was east at 10 miles per hour, so it's not moving very fast right now. But we are expecting that to increase once it gets into tomorrow, kind of away from that high ridge and can kind of move more freely. Minimum pressure at that time was 905 millibars. So again, the Atlantic hurricane record was what, 885? Let me double check that. Um, 895. So again, we are approaching a record-breaking hurricane, both in terms of wind speed and pressure, which those two are really correlated. So not too surprised that probably the lowest pressure hurricane has the strongest winds. So, as for the text of this advisory, a storm surge warning has been issued for the west coast of Florida from Flamingo northward to the Siouan River, including Charlotte Harbor and Tampa Bay. A hurricane warning has been issued for the west coast of Florida from Bonita Beach northward to the mouth of the Siouan River, including Tampa Bay. A tropical storm warning has been issued from Bonita Beach to Flamingo, including Lake Okeechobee and north of the mouth of the Siouan River northward and westward to the Indian Pass. A tropical storm warning has also been issued for all of the Florida Keys. Um, a storm surge warning has been issued for the U.S. East Coast from Sebastian Inlet, Florida to Edisto Beach, South Carolina, including the St. Johns River. Hurricane watch along the east coast of the Florida Peninsula for St. Lucie and Indian River County line, northward to the St. Mary's River. And tropical storm watch has been issued along the east coast of the Florida Peninsula, south of the St. Lucie Indian River County line, southward to Flamingo, and from the coast of Georgia and South Carolina from north of the St. Mary's River to the South Santee River, South Carolina. Ooh, that's a lot of reading. Is there anything interesting in here? Um, so here's kind of the discussion they are saying at 4 p.m. the eye of Hurricane Milton was located near blah blah blah. Milton is moving towards the east at 10 miles per hour. General motion is expected through tonight, followed by a ton east, northeast, and northeast on Tuesday and Wednesday on the forecast track. The center of Milton is forecast to move just north of the Yucatan Peninsula tonight and Tuesday, then cross the eastern Gulf of Mexico and approach the west coast of Florida Peninsula on Wednesday. Satellite data indicate that 180-mile-per-hour sustained winds with high gusts. Milton is a potentially catastrophic Category 5 hurricane. While fluctuations in intensity are expected, Milton is forecast to remain an extremely dangerous hurricane through landfall in Florida. Hurricane force winds extended outward up to 30 miles from the center of the and tropical storm force winds extended up to 80 miles outside of the eye. So not a ton new though, but always good to kind of see. As for these hurricanes, this tropical disturbance, all of these are non-factors for the U.S. um, give me 1 second and I'll be right back. Again, if you're new here, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. What I'll do when I get back, I'll go over the forecast, go over the model data, and then go from there. Give me a couple of seconds. Alright, I'm back. Yeah, so again, let's go over the forecast. If you have any questions, drop them in chat and I'll try to respond. Looks like we're dealing with a little bit of lag, like a couple minutes, not a couple minutes, like 15 seconds maybe. But yeah, let's see, let's start with the cone here. Again, we're seeing a Category 5 Hurricane Milton impacting the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico right now. And then we expect that to move east and then northeastward towards Tampa, Florida, where we do expect a major hurricane to make landfall. Right now, the thought is a high end category 3, with the possibility of a low end category 4 hurricane. Tomorrow's going to be very crucial on what the wind speed's going to be at landfall. So we'll go from there. Once we get more data in tomorrow, again, I'll try to have a video tomorrow evening, may go live again tomorrow evening. And then by the time it pushes off the coast of Florida, we are expecting it to have weakened to a Category 1 hurricane and then onto a tropical storm. As it accelerates onto the Florida coast, it sees Florida man and runs away at that point. Um, so again, peak suds, as forecasted right now, are between Tampa Bay, Inslote River, and Inglewood, 10 to 15 feet. I'm personally more inclined to see this at up to 20 foot right now. Tampa Bay, kind of area I'm most concerned about because of the inlet hill. Again, this is if the hurricane kind of moves more northerly than we're thinking. That would be kind of the worst case scenario, but 17, 18 feet elsewhere, not out of the question. Anywhere where the purple is, even the reds, just be on the lookout for that increase of another couple of 2 to 3 feet possible on top of this. I think the NHC is kind of underestimating this right now. As far as on the eastern side, that storm surge is probably about accurate, especially with its weakening. It just doesn't have the area to pick up enough water, and I do expect it to weaken quite greatly. As far as the amount of rain forecasted, we aren't expecting a Hurricane Helene situation with this at all. We're expecting 4 to maybe 12, 13, 14 inches at the most. Definitely enough to cause flooding, don't get me wrong, but nothing like we saw in the mountainous areas with Helene. Um, again, flooding, turn around, don't drown. Don't really be out driving when this storm hits. Listen to your local evacuation orders. I know I-75 is packed, but I would not risk it with this storm surge, especially on the East Coast. Very dangerous. I've read a tweet earlier that there may be gas issues. That's unconfirmed, and Twitter is full of speculation, so don't take my word for that at all. But again, it's better to leave early than wait till the last minute and be potentially stuck in a traffic jam. Again, moderate flooding for most of Florida. Um, Tampa Bay, Orlando, Jacksonville, south of Tallahassee, and then Miami, Key West areas all expecting significant flooding with a slight risk of flooding elsewhere. Um, with the Everglades, it's going to be more than slight, um, but you're going to see flooding. Um, as far as when we expect the arrival time of the winds, east coast of Florida, talking about Wednesday, 8 a.m. at the earliest, and west coast, maybe about midday on Wednesday is when you'll start seeing the winds at the earliest. But again, most likely is west coast of Florida about midday on Wednesday, and then around midnight on the west coast is kind of the thinking on wind timing, as you can see from these couple of graphics. It's kind of a more zoomed in view. So again, 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. are these two lines here. Um, again, taking a look at the sea surface temperatures. Again, we're looking in the 70s and 80s. 19 to 20 degrees Celsius. Not exactly sure on that conversion, but anyway, close enough. point is, water's warm. Hurricane's going to have plenty of fuel to work with. That's not going to be the issue with this storm. The storm that we are most concerned about is, in terms of what exactly impact it will have on the storm, is the shear off the west coast of Florida right now. So watching that very, very closely. Um, Checking some of the data coming in right now to see if there's anything that's needed. At 6:35 p.m. Last pass of the hurricane hunters was 899 millibars. Flight level winds was 61 miles per hour. Um, Drop snowed. So where they fly in and drop basically weather sensors. Is showing wind surface wind speeds of 161 knots. Um, Mean wind in the lowest 500 is 165. Lowest winds is 174 knots. And 174 knots, 200 miles per hour is about 200 miles per hour. So that's kind of like the maximum um, winds detected. But kind of the average is going to be that 165 number. So 165 is about 190 miles per hour. So again, very windy storm, maybe the windiest we've seen. Um, just looking at somebody on Twitter, Tomo Bug WX, said that drop snow was able to rotate halfway across the eye before landing. So that's quite impressive. So yeah, again, looking at this model, again, here's kind of where we're expecting it to be making landfall around Tampa. Again, if it goes north of Tampa, that's when we're seeing the potential for the highest amount of storm surge in Tampa. But again, anywhere from Inglewood to I should know this town by now. I've said it enough. To Antelope River, we are expecting 15 to 18, maybe even 20-foot storm surge along that area. So here's kind of the shear I was talking about. Um, the blues and purples are kind of the higher amount. Oh, that's Cape Side. Shear is just the knots, yeah. So you can see a couple of bars, so 20 knots of shear. Pretty significant amount of shear once the storm gets going, and this is kind of what's going to broaden out the storm a little bit and kind of decrease some of the wind speeds on this. So that's what we're thinking is going to make it a Category 3 at landfall. Could be a low end Category 4. Just depends on when exactly the shear starts to interact with the storm and disrupt it a little bit. Again, it's not gonna save y'all from major destruction in Florida on the east coast of Florida. I am expecting quite a bit of damage to come from this. Here's an overview at SEAL. Winds rotating with height, so it isn't the best view of it, but you can kind of see these reds and yellows are kind of a little bit of an indicator of SEAL and where the storm isn't quite as stacked as it can be and more efficiently. So kind of a less efficient storm at this point, and again, that's going to lead to the weakening of the storm. Um, Trying to think if there's anything else I want to show at this point. And you guys know. So yeah, here's kind of the current warnings in Florida. Again, most of the state is under a hurricane watch or warning of some sort. Um, Again, hurricane warnings category 3, category 2 for most of Florida. But East Coast of Florida probably Category 1 by the time it reaches you. Um, Go and check the Cape Canaveral area here a little bit. So, peak wind forecast is 60 to 80 mile per hour winds with wind gusts to 100 miles per hour. Um, Tropical storm force winds early Thursday morning until Thursday afternoon. Um, Potential for winds 74 to 110 miles per hour. Plan for light threatening wind of equivalent Cat 1 or Cat 2. So considerable roof damage to study buildings. Many large trees snapped up, uprooted. Some roads impassable. Large areas with power and communication outages. So definitely obviously a Category 1, Category 2 hurricane is still significant. Don't want to downplay that at all. But a little bit lesser effect there than kind of on the east coast of, or west coast of Florida. Let's take a look at this hurricane warning on that side. Again, right now it's equivalent of Cat 2. That's going to be a Category 3. Flood watch 4 to 8 inches. Tornadoes on the west coast is going to be somewhat favorable, so may have a few tornadoes come out in the outer bands there. Not expecting it to be prolific in terms of tornadoes, but definitely a few going on there. Um, so again, right now the storm surge's official forecast is 11 to 15. I do think we may approach 20 miles per hour now. So again, be listening to your local orders for evacuations. Definitely be heeding them. Um, I know roads north to on I-75 are busy right now. And gas stations are definitely busy now, but definitely worth getting out if possible. Um, because some of these effects are going to be historical in this area. Catastrophic is a word that's been thrown around. So anywhere basically in the cone in the area of Florida, be prepared. I know this isn't y'all's first hurricane, but it's definitely one of the strongest hurricanes in quite some time. In fact, it may be even stronger than Hurricane Ian of last year, I believe. So yeah, here's kind of the forecast cone again, expecting around midnight on Thursday morning to be the landfall time and pushing off around noon on Thursday. So it's going to move quite quickly through Florida, which is kind of a good thing for the most part, although it will increase the storm surge that we will see on the western coast again. But yeah, hurricane warnings, hurricane watches for most of Florida. Some tropical storms as you get to Tallahassee region and Miami regions. And then some on Georgia and South Carolina coasts. But again, not expecting any precip in Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia for the areas that got impacted most by Hurricane Helene, which is good for those cleanup efforts going on now. Um, if you have any questions, drop them in chat. I'll wait for a couple minutes and go and start wrapping it up. I do have a couple errands I have to run. I'm gotta go get groceries and cook and then prep some videos for tonight, tomorrow. Um, Make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button. Go and definitely try to be live tomorrow around the same time. Can't think of anything off the top of my head that would prevent me from doing so. Probably maybe live for landfall, but not really that significant. Just kind of interesting to watch. Um, Again, order of threats for this hurricane is storm surge. Um, winds, rain. Um, Definitely flooding rains. Devastating winds, especially around the eye. But again, this hurricane's kind of small, so the wind field's going to decrease quite rapidly as you get away from the eye. 40 mile per hour is the current extended wind field, may go up to 60, 70 miles per hour, miles away from the eye. And then tropical storm force winds probably up to maybe 100 miles per hour out, 100 miles out from the eye. But this is definitely a smaller hurricane than a lot of hurricanes. So that's kind of the good news. Again, we have to see kind of how that wind field's going to affect it. And again, the broader the wind field, the higher the storm surge. But the weaker the strongest winds will be. So that's kind of the trade off we have. So yeah, I don't see any more questions. Thank you, Caroline. I appreciate that. Um, yeah, I'll be back tomorrow. We'll post a schedule the live for tomorrow. But I'll also be on the lookout for videos either tonight or tomorrow morning or both. We'll see how it goes. And if there's anything interesting to talk about. Yeah, thank y'all for watching, and catch y'all next time.